In this video, I'm going to talk about the inner child, how it becomes wounded, how it gets absorbed into the shadow archetypes, and how to retrieve it back. And here we want to start with the concept of who we are at birth. So when we are born, our minds do not understand the concept of self till about the age of 2. Around 2 years old, the brain has the capacity to develop and understand that the child itself is separate from the external world. It's constantly exploring and getting to know this world, but around 2 it recognizes, wait a minute, I am not mother, mother is not me, I am not father, father is not me. But this is where the fracture comes. This is where the mind become fractured, because while the child understands it is not mother and father, it also needs mother and father for survival. And there is an instinct to look at mother and look at father for the direction in which it should develop, or caregiver, whoever is taking care of the child. Now, because, as I stated in previous videos, humans are incredibly empathetic and transformative creatures. Whatever we focus on, we absorb and we integrate. It's really as simple as that. So what ends up happening is this little 2-year-old begins observing mother, observing father, and gets a greater view of what it means to be human, and its consciousness grows. And then he becomes a little bit bigger. His concept of self grows. And so maybe this is like maybe 3. And then as the child grows more, concept of self grows. Maybe they learn about how to walk, how to navigate around the world, how to play with certain toys, how to talk, how to create things. So maybe about around 5. All right. And then around the age of 5, in our current society, a child goes into someplace like kindergarten. And so then they're looking at other children, not just at mother, father, but they're looking at other children and observing them. Now, it's around this time that this child is being indoctrinated into our society, is that as this child grows, then all of a sudden, as the child grows, it is taught through the Platonic dialectic, there are certain things we don't talk about. And it suppresses those instincts. And so now the child's like around 7 or 8. And then it looks towards its peers, and it maybe like you like to do certain activities. No, don't do that because that's a childish thing to do. Maybe you like to, talk about certain things. No, don't do that. That's childish. Don't do that. And so slowly, as the child grows, these parts of its innate identity when it was born slowly gets darkened. And as the child grows into adulthood, so now we're a teenager, so around 12 to 18, they're really indoctrinated, learning more about society. But because society is not inclusive or Hegelian, a lot of this inner child gets darkened and suppressed. The mind will literally, we stop focusing on it. We stop focusing on it because we think that being a child is lesser than. And if the trauma is particularly bad, because the child has to grow up really fast, they may lose whole parts of childhood. So, where somebody is functioning at the age of 12 or 18, they may have actually put everything under the age of 8 into the shadow. They may not even have memories of this. They may have no memories at all. So that by the time they are a fully fledged adult, the core memories of the spirit when this soul entered this world are completely in shadow. Not only are they not thought about, they aren't even a part of the picture. But if we see here, though, this guides all of the desires, all of the feelings. This inner child ends up being a big part of why we make decisions. And yet most of us, this is 20 plus years old, most of us are super confused as to why we are making the decisions we are. Why are we in fights? Why are we doing things? And it's because we have put into shadow the aspect of self that we had to throw away in order to connect with the world. And this is because the child learns from adults, but adults do not learn from children. The child learns from other children, but the dominant children, so most likely the masculine children, do not learn from that child. So learning and empathy becomes a one-way street. It's not a two-way street. So what happens is this becomes even more ensconced in shadow because the person learns, I don't empathize with, nobody empathizes with children. Nobody empathizes with women. So I do not empathize with my inner child. I do not even think about it. I just keep going on my instincts and wonder every once in a while, why do I keep doing these things that sabotage myself? So the key to healing all of this is to take this adult mind and start learning from your inner child. That's it. You've got to start changing the flow of this energy so it flows in and out. So this understanding of empathy, but you have to go within. You have to ask your inner child, what do you think about this? What do you want? So one of the things that I did when I was doing my healing journey is I had inner child time. And this isn't just a play date. This is empathy time. And it was often when I was either going to work or I was coming back home, either walking or in the car, and I would be like, hey kiddo, how are you doing this morning? What did you think of that dream last night? That was crazy. But you have to ask your inner child questions. If you are not asking your inner child questions, you're still acting in the platonic view of you're telling your inner child what to do. You cannot tell your inner child what to do. You need to ask them what they think and feel. What did you think of that person we just met today at work? What do you think about what my boss said? And sometimes the inner child won't answer because it's so ensconced in shadow. And you won't feel an answer just quite yet. But give it time. Time heals all wounds. Because the more you go within, the more you ask. And here's the important thing. You have to ask your inner child what it thinks about things. And then when you ask it, get an inner child journal. Get a journal and write down what your inner child tells you. And just log it. Ask your inner child, hey, what do you think about this? And whatever you hear it says or feel, you write that down. I had this happen today, my inner child thinks this.